What's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 9, I believe, of the Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast. We are back with another episode, of course. Had a lot of fun things that happened this past week. We had our last week of the CDL Major 1 qualifiers. That was week 4 to wrap up online play of the CDL before Major 1, which we will be talking about as well. Looking forward to that coming up this weekend. And then, of course, we had the NFL Conference Championships for the AFC and NFC, and we have a Super Bowl that we can talk about. We've got a matchup there for the Super Bowl now, so we will be jumping all into that, of course, later on in the video. But if you want to listen to the podcast on Spotify, feel free to go on ahead and click the link in the description below alongside any other socials if you want to follow. You can also look up Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast on Spotify, and it should show up there if you would prefer to listen instead of watch here on YouTube. So I won't hold you guys up any longer. Let's go on ahead and hop right into episode 9 here. Roll the intro. All right. So let's get this switched over here to the screen share. We've got a lot of matches here. Well, 9 matches, obviously, that happened last weekend that we're going to take a look into here that happened in the online play for week 4 of Major 1 here. We're kicking it off with the Vancouver Surge against the Carolina Royal Ravens here. The Surge win this one, man. I was a little surprised about this. Vancouver come out with the W here with the Neslo in Neslo fashion. They win both the Search and Destroys and then the Control. So they don't pick up a hard point, but it doesn't matter. They're going to come out with a 3-2 victory here. Yeah, man. I mean, like I kind of said, I think I mentioned it last week a little bit. Carolina might be having a little bit of a post grand finals hangover, and I mentioned it last week. I'm sure it's not a big deal, but you know they are dropping some maps here and dropping a series to the Vancouver Surge. So maybe there is a little bit of truth to that sentiment. Maybe they're just working through things. And hey, it's not to discredit the Vancouver Surge, man. Like I said, you know, at the beginning of the year, I said Vancouver Surge is my sleeper team. I had confidence in this roster, and I mean, you look at the record that they finished this online split with, 4-3. That's not bad. That's totally respectable, completely. Sorry, I had to cut away for a minute, but I'm back. Yeah, what I was saying is last week, I mean, we were looking at the Vancouver Surge, and they were sitting at like 2-3 or so. With I'm pretty sure one of their wins was against Vegas. So I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt. So, I mean, that, of course, I finally start to say and admit, okay, I might have been wrong here. But then they go out this weekend and do this, and we'll talk about their next match when we get there. But, yeah, looks really good here against the Carolina Royal Ravens. So I did not want to discredit the Vancouver Surge in this series, man. 0-4 has really, this weekend, had a monster weekend in general. But this series drops a 1.15 here on the series. Yeah, just looked really great. I mean, obviously Carolina kind of outslayed them just because they won both of those hard points here in this series, but 0-4 still dropping 105 kills, going 1.15 KD. Great series from 0-4, man, and yeah, the Surge just finding a way to get it done here in this series. So, yeah, congrats to the Surge there for kind of pulling off a little bit of an upset here on the Royal Ravens. But let's jump ahead to the next match. LA Thieves get it done in close fashion against the Miami Heretics, man. I did not expect this match to be as close as it was. A bit shaky for the Thieves, but this is probably a big one for them, much needed for their morale and keeping that record, top of the league, if that makes sense. Just good momentum win for the Thieves here to regain and keep their composure and get it done against a Miami Heretics team that they probably should beat in actuality. But yeah, I mean, Miami is a solid team, man. In terms of hard point, at least, I will say that they're a good team. I mean, they played Thieves relatively close. I mean, they lost by 100 points in the vault, but I mean, they aren't getting blown out insanely. And then, I mean, obviously they grabbed one on the Hacienda hardpoint against them. And I will say their S&D has improved. Since I tore into them for losing that 1v4 versus FaZe or when Simp 1v4'd them, I kind of went pretty hard on their S&D. And so ever since then, they've kind of turned up. So I don't know if they heard the episode, but ever since that point, man, they've looked at least better better, I would say, in S&D. I mean, obviously here they take the protocol against LA Thieves 6-1, so just have their way with them in that one. But yeah, they've looked better in S&D, so I don't think this Miami Heretics team is a bad squad, and they've kind of showed it here by taking LA Thieves to map 5. But I think LA Thieves needs to clean some things up here. I mean, here they really did outslay them in this series here. So yeah, I mean, maybe shouldn't be that close, but against Miami, but I do think that they're a good team, and Thieves, did get it done. So yeah, credit to both teams here in this series. And then let's move on to the last match of the first day of the weekend here. FaZe 3-0 the Boston Breach here. Man, FaZe are looking strong. There's not a whole lot to say here with this series. Not a whole lot to say with 3-0s in general, but man, FaZe just looked like the better team. I mean, this Boston team is not bad in any way. I mean, they've been having a good split. They're 5-2. Online here. So they've been having a good split. They're not a bad team, but FaZe just is really hot right now and looked really good. I mean, the only map that was close was that first hard point, and then after that, man, FaZe just kind of took over in the search and destroy and the control. And they just looked amazing, man. Celium is playing some of his best COD we have seen from Celium in a while. I mean, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, and he's had great seasons these past few years, but I mean, I'm talking like a 1.5 every series right now. So that is extremely tippable, and just a great series from Celium, and also a great series from Simp here too. Drops a 1.4 on the series. Simp and draws with the 1.21 as well. Credit there where it's due. But yeah, not a whole lot to say about this one, man. FaZe just kind of had their way with the Boston Breach, and I'm not really worried, about the Boston Breach. I think they looked really great this split so far, like I said, and you just caught a hot FaZe team right now. So yeah, FaZe looking really strong, and they showed it here in this series against the Boston Breach. But let's move on here to day 2. Vancouver, again, like I said, man, they get it done. They came into this weekend 2-3. They're gonna leave 4-3, picking up another dub here against the Minnesota Rocker, man. 0-4 does break the kill record. I think that was kind of the talk of this series. 0-4 breaks the kill record with 138 kills, drops a 1.22 on the series. Monster series from 0-4. But one thing I did want to say is it was probably kind of a product of just how sloppy this series was in general. It's not to discredit 0-4 because he was the one that fried the most in this sloppy series. But did want to mention, I mean, look, like Estriel drops 129, Geo drops 121, Nero drops 120. I'm pretty sure all three of those are like also breaking the kill record or the previous kill record. Obviously, if 0-4 didn't drop 138 in this series, so yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like a messy series, a lot of trades, a lot of misplays, a lot of kills to go around in this series. So I think that's a bit of what the product was, but I mean, still, he dropped a 1.2, and I mean that's the statistic that isn't altered by how a series is being played out. If your KD is good, your KD is good. And regardless of how many kills you have or how many kills the other people have on your team or other teams. So still maintaining a 1.22 and definitely deserving of that kill record and of the MVP of this match here. But yeah, both of these teams, man, like I said, though, it is sloppy, and it kind of seems like both of these teams are just missing kind of like a piece or either a piece or production from that last piece. Vancouver Surge being Hixie, Rocker being Paulex, man. Both of them dropped 0.7s on this series. They just got to turn it around. Hixie going -29, Paulex going -35. You kind of feel that like both of these teams are just kind of missing a piece or missing something in this series to tie it together and just kind of take over in this series. Because I mean, it goes to a map 5 round 11. That could have been anybody's series realistically. Would have been kind of crazy if 0-4 dropped the kill record for the L. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We may see change after the major. I think both teams probably, I know they aren't going to be changed going into the major, but we may see, some swap outs for Hixie or Paulex here, or they just kind of work on it, regain, fix some things up and kind of get to those levels. Because I mean, honestly, man, Hixie and Paulex, I don't think they're bad players to be honest. Hixie went to a grand finals with Toronto Ultra and MW2. Paulex has been in the league for a little while now, and I mean he's proven that he can shoot. And so yeah, I have confidence in these guys to at least play their role in these teams. They're just not really doing that a whole lot right now, or at least helping their teams enough from what they need. So that's my thoughts on both of these teams here in general. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said about Vancouver Surge, they are kind of my sleeper, and I'm glad that is coming back into fruition. Realistically, I don't know how deep of a run they're going to make here at this major. I'll talk about kind of my predictions for the major in general when we get there, but yeah, I don't think that they're a terrible. I'll say this: they're not a bottom team, and I think their record kind of reflects it. They're beating the bottom teams and beating teams that showing that they can hang with top teams specifically. And then also, dude, I just wanted to say last thing related to this series, man. Minnesota Rocker has gone to Game 5 in 7 of the 10 series that they have played here so far online. That is insane. They are going to Game 5 in 70% of their matches. So, I mean, like I was saying last week, this team is just very, very gritty, and they are showing it with how they're getting their matches. They're not winning all of those game fives, obviously, but they are taking teams to them and winning some of them. And yeah, that's just crazy how gritty and how many maps this Minnesota Rocker team is actually playing. It's kind of crazy, but I thought that was a cool stat to look at now that this online stage is over for now. But let's move on here to the next match of the day. The LAG Gorillas mates, Gentle mates, get a W here against the Vegas Falcons. It's the Vegas Falcons, man. There's not a whole lot to say about LAG here, other than they got the job done as they should. I think Vegas with this match, with this map, Skyline Hardpoint, I think they reached an 0-12 hardpoint map streak. I believe it's 0-12. I don't know what the record is, or if I'm sure they're approaching it. I don't know exactly what that record is, but yeah, man, not looking too great here for the Vegas Falcons. They had some new players in. Like I think King is a new player. I think Doom might have played last week. We're just seeing so many changes here with this Vegas roster. I'm getting names mixed up. I can't remember who's who or who played when. And yeah, this team just has no identity, man. And you're not going to get an identity switching up everybody like they are. I mean, their camp is huge. And I get why. It's a completely new roster, completely new system, completely new program coming into the CDL here. So I get why. I get the aspect of it. But man, I mean, you gotta find some sort of identity and stick with it. Obviously, having kicks out of the picture sucks for him. I get that. You know, you want your statistically best performing player to be in the program or on the roster, on that starting roster at least, as much as possible. But so I understand that's out of their control for right now. But you gotta find something, man. And at this rate, it's just not looking good for Vegas. I mean, they're 0-7 here. I think it's one of, I don't remember who did it last year. It might have been Boston, if I'm thinking about it. It might have been Boston as well that has gone 0-7, but the Falcons are only the second team to ever do that, go 0-7 in the online stage here. And it was pretty obvious why. I mean, this team, like I said, just has no identity. And so, yeah, I mean, at this rate, you might as well write them off. I hope not. You know, I think we're all kind of rooting for them and rooting for them to figure something out and start winning some series. But this may be another Paris Legion season here that we see. So I don't know, man. Not a whole lot else to say about this series specifically, other than LAG. Congrats for winning what you should in that series. But let's move on to the next one. We've got Carolina Royal Ravens getting probably a much-needed win here against Miami. 3-2 here, reverse sweep fashion for this. This is a rough loss for Miami, but yeah, I mean it's a close map or a close match obviously, but Carolina just took over those last 3 maps here. So I said it's a huge win for Carolina. It also kind of hurts them a little bit in terms of how just the seeding shook out. In terms of like how the bracket looks right now. If they were to lose, I don't know exactly who they would have played or what that would have looked like. But now they're seeded up against LA Thieves, and then if they win, they'll probably have to play Optic. So you've got a tough path to get through winners of that upper part of the bracket here. Now Carolina has, based off of winning this game. Obviously, it would have been different if they lost, but they win this series, and they've got a tough one ahead of us now. So sucks a little bit for Carolina, but I mean obviously you want to win every series that you're playing in, and so um, yeah, I mean they get it done here in reverse sweep fashion. And last thing I've written down for this is T just is playing some of his best Call of Duty right now. Drops a 1.35 on this series, man. He looked good and really has stepped up for this Carolina Royal Ravens team. Um, Here. So yeah, congrats to Carolina for getting that W. I do think, for at least morale-wise, seeding of the tournament aside, that is a big win for them. But yeah, let's jump on to day 3 here. Boston Breach, man, I told you they're a good team, and they get it done here against the LA Thieves. And like I said, like you couldn't have predicted that LA Thieves was going to lose this match here if you're Carolina. So again, it's like so out of your control. You win with the cards that are dealt to you, and if it ends up shaking out like this, it is what it is. But LA Thieves falls here will affect seeding, of course. But yeah, Boston Breach, man, get it done. Thieves dropped 2 searches in this series here. All right, sorry, my headset died there. I am back, though. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight, man, Snoopy had a great series here. Drops a 1.23 on the series, 103 kills. Snoopy's kind of starting to live up, man, to that hype that we saw at the end of MW2. A lot of people were talking about this kid, saying that he was the next greatest thing, and he's been, he's looked really solid here in these Breach matches. I mean, they're 5-2, like I said, and he is sort of coming to his own here, at least in this first Major 1 stage. And yeah, I mean, just doing a lot of things right, and it's looking good for Snoopy here, man. So I mean, you love to see that, obviously. I mean, as a young guy coming into this league with a lot of expectations, when he initially hopped on that Breach roster. So yeah, good to see for Snoopy, man. He's looking good. I do think Boston is a great team overall, though, and they showed it here by beating LA Thieves. I do think this also is a testament to how hot FaZe is right now, because FaZe just 3-0'd this Boston Breach team like a day or two before. So yeah, I mean, puts into perspective how good that FaZe team is right now, and I mean, they're 3-0ing teams that are going to map 5s and winning against LA Thieves, who is believed to be another top team in this game right now. So, yeah, man, I mean, Breach is good. Don't want to make this about FaZe specifically, but congrats to Breach here. Big win for them against the LA Thieves going into Major 1's tournament. But, yeah, that's that. And then, speaking of FaZe, here we go. FaZe does grab their last win of the weekend here against Cloud9. Goes to a map 5. So I was a little curious about that. I was just talking about how hot they are, but they do go to a map 5 here against Cloud9, but they get it done. And so I will counter that with the fact that in the maps they won here, the 3 maps they won in this series, it was kind of not close for the most part, and the maps that they lost were very close. So just dropping the ones that were close, and Cloud9 squeaked those out. But when they won pretty convincingly here. So it's a bit misleading, I guess, of a 3-2. Looks a bit closer than it actually was in terms of maps. So yeah, but FaZe did slam. Not a whole lot to say other than, I mean, another ridiculous series here out of Celium. Drops a 1.43 on the series. Obviously, series MVP there. Insane from Celium. And then, yeah, Cloud9, I could see a roster change incoming post Major 1 if they bomb out or don't make a decent run, which I don't really expect them to a whole lot. So I could see some sort of change, whether it be 1 player, 2 player, I don't know. But yeah, we'll see here with Cloud9 New York. I mean, again, granted, it is a really good FaZe team. Like I said, they're extremely hot, but going 1-6 in these qualifiers is not ideal. Starting a loser, it's going to be really hard to make a run for them. And yeah, expectations for Cloud9 sticking together after this are not too high. But yeah, that's all I got for that match. And then let's go to the last match of the weekend here. We've got Optic Texas going up against Toronto Ultra, and Optic Texas looked really impressive in this one, man. They're going to get the dub 3-1 against Toronto Ultra. This Toronto Ultra team is a well-oiled machine firing on all cylinders right now, and so yeah, this Toronto Ultra team is not a team to sneeze at, and Optic Texas get it done pretty convincingly, man. I do think Optic and FaZe are kind of like 1A, 1B. interchangeable right now, and then everybody's kind of just a tier below them in terms of raw skill and whatnot. So, yeah, man, really, really impressive from Optic. Hook looked amazing in this series. He gets the series MVP, of course, drops a 1.37. He has just been absolutely frying on another level, man. Um, yeah, not a whole lot else to say. Optic just looked very convincing in this series. I do think Toronto Ultra is a good team. I'm not out on them just because they dropped one series to Optic here, but they do need to, be able to win these matches against top tier teams like Optic, like FaZe. They might have. I can't remember. I think they might have played FaZe earlier this year. And beat them, but that was kind of when FaZe was still figuring shit out and weren't on the run or what the level that they are on right now currently. So aside from that, they need to be able to beat these teams like Optic if they want to be considered in that upper echelon of teams that we have in the league right now. But I do think that they are still good, and this is not one loss to Optic, who is a very good team, is not the end of the world for them. So not losing too much confidence on Toronto Ultra, but gaining confidence definitely with this Optic team and how they looked here in this final series of the weekend. But yeah, that's everything for the matches here that we had this weekend. Let's check in with my pick'ems and see how I actually did here in this week. It didn't save, I don't think. And I can't ever get this damn thing to save. Like, I went through and filled out this whole bracket. We'll fill it out as well in a minute here, but I went out, filled it, saved it, didn't work. I don't know why. So I'm gonna just log in. Let's refresh here. Okay. But I wrote them down. So in what I did last week, day one I went I went 2 for 3 here. Really did not expect Carolina to lose against Vancouver Surge just based off of how Surge was looking there and how, I mean, Carolina's a good team. So didn't expect that. So I got that wrong, but obviously got the next two right there. Got Thieves against Miami. I actually called Thieves going to map 5 there. So with my prediction, but and then I did not expect FaZe to 3-0 breach. I thought that one would be a bit closer. But yeah, called both of those teams at least winning those. And then day 2, go 2 for 3 again here. Again, I didn't really expect Surge to win this one. I doubted them. And Rocker was looking good, looking gritty. And so I picked Rocker to win this one in a 3-2. Ends up being Surge. So, but yeah, so that's the one I got wrong there. And then obviously LAG picked them over Falcons, of course. And then picked Carolina over Miami. Didn't expect a 3-2 here though. So yeah, that was a bit closer than I initially expected it would be for that. And then day 3, I actually go 3 for 3, almost down to the map count. I called the LA Thieves slump against the Breach here. The Breach going to grab this one. Got that map count correct, I believe. Called FaZe winning against Cloud9. Didn't expect that one to go to a map 5, as most probably didn't. But did call FaZe to win that one, of course. And then I called Optic spoiling Toronto's undefeated run here. I think I picked them 3-2 though. So yeah, but I did pick Optic there. So I go 3 for 3 on day 3. I'm a little annoyed about this. I would have been like 7 for 9 if these points went through. I don't know how many points that would have gotten me, but I would have been like 7 for 9 in terms of picking the actual winners. So I'm a little annoyed that my points didn't register, but I don't know, man. The CDL website's kind of a mess sometimes. It is what it is. But yeah, let's jump over here to Major 1 and wrap this CDL segment up with kind of filling out a bracket here of this. So I'll kind of rifle through these pretty quick because there's a lot of matches that are like inevitably going to be played in this tournament. This is our first double elimination tournament that we've kind of predicted and Phil went out here on the podcast for. So I'll try to get through this as quick as possible here. First match, I've got Optic 3-1 in Miami here. I'll be interested to see Optic and Hook specifically's form on LAN in this match. I think it'll be kind of telling, potentially, here. But I do have Optic taking this one 3-1. Next match, I've got Carolina. I've got them over Thieves in a 3-2 fashion here. I think the slump kind of bleeds into day 1 a little bit for the Thieves. I'm not writing them off though. You'll see what I have here for the Thieves, but I've got a pretty respectable losers run in store for them, in my opinion. So, but yeah, I think day one, Carolina Royal Ravens takes the win over the Thieves here. And then I've got Toronto over Vancouver Surge. I got them 3-1. Maybe they drop a map here. They're just fundamentally better. And like I said, I'm still confident in this Toronto Ultra team. I've got FaZe here against Boston Breach. I think they're hot, like I said, and I think that, I mean, they beat them online 3-0. I think it's a bit closer on land here, so Boston will be hungry, but I think FaZe still gets it done here in day one for that. But let's move on to day two, losers bracket here. Miami versus LAG. I've got Miami here, 3-1. I don't think LAG has it figured out. They beat Vegas and who else did they beat? Rocker, I want to say. So I mean, I don't think they've got it completely figured out yet, and I think Miami, like I mentioned, against, you know, or in their matches that we covered against them, I do think that they're a good team, or a decent team, respectable team, if you'll say. So I've got them over LAG here, just purely because of that. I've got Thieves, obviously 3-0ing Vegas Falcons, nothing to say there. And then I've got, let's see, who did I pick here? Oh, okay, so I picked Surge in this one. This one could go kind of either way, as we saw in that match, but I'm going to go Surge here just to kind of stick with the narrative. I think Minnesota's probably been a little bit discouraged, man. After that top 4 run they had in the minor, they haven't picked up a win since then. So they're probably a little discouraged, man, and I'm going to just give this one to the Surge just based off of what we saw this weekend. In that one, it could go either way, though. I don't know. Rocker might come out hungry as hell and win this one and make a run and make me look like an idiot again. I don't know, but that's what I've got for that match. And then last one of losers round 1 here, Boston Breach versus Cloud9. Yeah, I think Boston wins here in a close one that leads to that Cloud9 team change. A bit heartbreaking for them, but Boston Breach looks good, man. And I don't think they'll drop a series here to Cloud9 at this point in time. And then last match of day 2, I think they'll do elimination round 2 first here. Miami Heretics versus Los Angeles Thieves. I'm going to go Thieves here. Like I said, the losers run continues for the Thieves, and I think relatively easily over Miami here. So I've got Thieves against Miami for day 2, or to wrap up day 2, and then to kick off day 3 here. Let's see, we got Boston versus Vancouver, and I'm going to go... Yeah, I know I said Vancouver's my sleeper, but I do think Breach looks good, man. I'm gonna go with Breach here. Boston Breach, I think they just outplay them as a team here against Vancouver Surge. Like I said, they were playing sloppy COD in that Rocker match, and I don't think that's gonna hold up against this Breach team, to be completely honest. So personally, I'm going to go with Boston Breach in this one. But yeah, let's jump back up here to the winners bracket. For winners round 2, we've got Optic Texas versus the Carolina Royal Ravens. I've got Optic 3-1 in this one, especially if they looked good in that first match. On land, I think that continues, and they beat Carolina here 3-1. FaZe versus Toronto, I don't think this one is particularly close, either. So I'm going to go FaZe 3-1 versus Toronto in winners round 2 to set up a winners final matchup that we'll get to between Optic and FaZe here. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, that's what I've got there for the winners round 2, and then drop down to elimination round 3 here. We got Toronto Ultra versus the LA Thieves here. I'm going to go LA Thieves for this one. I think the run continues. It might be close here. I'm going to go 3-2, but I am going to give this one to Thieves, man. This is going to be close and scrappy, no pun intended, but this is going to be a close one, and I'll go Thieves in a 3-2 here. And then to wrap up day 3 in elimination round 3, we've got Carolina versus Boston. I'm gonna go Carolina here. I think they played a really good Optic team to drop them down here. They're gonna get their get back against this Boston Breach team, and I'm gonna go Carolina here in 3-2 fashion. This is the toughest one, the toughest match of the tournament for me to pick right now, personally. But you got to kind of give the benefit of the doubt here to Carolina. I mean, they just placed second at the minor tournament, so I'm gonna give that edge to Carolina here to pull out with the win in this one. So yeah, I'm gonna pick Carolina to move on there. for that one. And then to kick off day 4 here, we've got LA Thieves versus Carolina. That being said about Carolina, that last match, I do think it comes to an end here versus LA Thieves. I think they kind of handle them with ease. They kind of just have their way with them. They're on a roll right now at this point in the tournament. So I'm going to go Thieves for this one. And then Optic versus FaZe, man. I know FaZe is hot. I've just got kind of a feeling. Yeah, I don't know how else to describe it here. I think this will be a close, gritty series, but I'm going to go Optic here in this one 3-2 against Atlanta FaZe right now, just based off of purely a feeling, man. I don't know. Sets up an Atlanta FaZe versus LA Thieves elimination finals matchup. Yeah, I got to go FaZe here. They're going to want that get back on Optic, and I think the Thieves are kind of out of gas at this point. They've had a long run, a lot of matches, so I'm going to go FaZe here for this one. Optic versus FaZe Grand Finals. FaZe wants their get back. They fell to them in the winners finals. I don't think they get their get back, though. It's going to be another close one. I've got Optic at a 4-3 for the series Grand Finals win in the winners of Major 1. I'm picking Optic here, man. They just look good. They've got Hook. They're kind of still in like that honeymoon phase almost for this whole stage with Hook. They feel ahead on the game, and I'm a pick Optic here to win this whole tournament over Atlanta FaZe. This will be a classic if this actually goes to a map 7, Optic versus FaZe in a grand finals of a major. That'll be awesome. But yeah, I do have Optic winning this series regardless of if it goes there or not. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this tournament to get underway here. I'm very excited. It's Wednesday. I should have this episode up right before the tournament starts. So it's Wednesday as I'm recording it, but tournament starts tomorrow is when we'll have winners round 1. First match I think is at, these times are definitely all wrong. Probably in like Pacific. So I'm gonna say the first match is at probably like 1:30 or so Eastern time for tomorrow's tournament getting started, Major 1. So I'm very excited for that to get kicked off, man. Yeah, we'll see if I'm right or if this is a totally busted bracket. I don't know, but I'm excited for this tournament. We'll see. That's pretty much everything I wanted to touch on CDL wise, and next week we'll have the results of this by the time I'm talking to you guys next week and know who is the Major 1 champion, but we'll definitely cover that and see if there are any surprises or runs that teams make or any teams that get bombed out early that we didn't expect. So, but yeah, man, I'm really excited. That's everything CDL-wise. We are going to kick it over. I think we're going to be having this time I'm actually recording the CDL portion before we record our football portion, or segment. So I'm pretty sure we're having Nick and Owen on again this week for the football segment. So I will go on ahead and kick you guys over to that right now. Yo, so we are moving on to the football segment now here, and first thing did want to say, obviously, I was just talking to these guys about college football, so we're not going to be talking a whole lot about it, because, we don't have a whole lot of stuff going on relating to college football, so, that makes sense. I do plan on, keeping up with, transfers, coaching changes, stuff like that, if that comes arrive, or any other, relevant information, and then maybe, later on in the off season, we can do some content or different ideas of topics to talk about. But aside from that, that's the only thing I want to say. But we are joined by Nick and Owen here again today. How are you fellas doing today?
Good. I'm doing good tonight. Excited.
Yeah.
Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, so not much to complain about here.
Doing good. Getting down to the last game of the year. Crazy.
I know, it's insane how fast this has flown by. It feels like just yesterday. Every year when we get to the Super Bowl, it feels like it was just yesterday that we were giddy about the first game of the season. So it's crazy how fast that goes by. But yeah, we've got 2 games to review here, the results of, and then the big game to preview and give our predictions and thoughts on. But let's jump right into it here. We've got the conference championship for the AFC that we'll start with here. The Chiefs versus the Bills. Chiefs come out with this one in close fashion. Of course, they are used to doing that all year. Gonna win this one 32-29 against the Bills. We were right. The Chiefs are just inevitable, man. Not much to say here. We kind of all three, I think, predicted this, so not a shocker. Relating to the conspiracy theories and the referees, I will say I don't think this game was as bad as the Texans, but it was still definitely evident and noticeable from just watching. There were some pretty bad, like important calls, particularly like the Josh Allen short on fourth down one. I think that one stood out to me personally a lot as a pretty important moment that a lot of people recognized as well. That being said, from what I saw, or what in my opinion, I do think the Bills did have a chance to tie this game up if Kincaid just caught the damn ball. So that would erase, any shadow of a doubt. I mean, that was a great play by Josh Allen, to even make it possible to catch in the first place. But even on that play, I'm pretty sure me and Nick were talking about it yesterday. Nick, there was like still a flag thrown on the play that was later picked up. So I mean, who knows what the hell the refs were gonna do if that was caught? Maybe that wouldn't even counted. So it's just weird, man. I don't know. Maybe the Chiefs are just the most iciest, like clutch, close game winning team we've ever seen in the history of the sport. I don't know, man, but it's just so weird how they keep coming out with these, and we know it's gonna happen every time. And yeah, I mean they're going to the Super Bowl. It's not a shock to us, but that's just my thoughts on it. Not a whole lot else to say, to be honest. But
Go ahead, Nick.
Okay, yeah. So, first and foremost, I just feel bad for Josh Allen. It's the fourth time since 2021 that the Chiefs have ended the Bills season in the playoffs. I mean, that is just a bummer. I feel bad for Bills fans too. I mean, it's such a shame. But like you said, Sam, there weren't that many bad calls in this game except for that Josh Allen QB sneak, fourth down and one, which it looked like he crossed the line of scrimmage on like every angle, and they still gave the ball to KC, which is a game-changing call. You know what I mean? So it's quite you had some skepticism there in terms of the penalties. But yeah, like you said, there wasn't that many bad penalties compared to the Texans game. But at the end of the day, the Bills offense had a chance to drive down the field to either tie the game or go up on KC, and they failed to do so. I mean, Josh Allen made a hell of a play to Kincaid, and Spags dialed up the blitz there. Had the chance to catch the ball and didn't there. Yeah, but I just wanted to note, since we don't have that much games to cover, just some players that stood out to me. Patrick Mahomes, he was 18 for 26, 245 passing yards and a touchdown. He also had 11 carries for 43 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So he did more with his legs than what he usually
running all over
does.
the place. Yeah.
Yeah. And Xavier Worthy was his top receiver in this game. 6 receptions for 85 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. He has been really good lately down the stretch, especially in the playoffs. And coming out of the draft, he has been perceived to be, more of the like vertical threat, like the Tyreek Hill replacement there. But he's been more so like a possession catcher and like with like dangerous yak ability. So that's how they've been using him. But yeah, he's been really good down the stretch. But also Josh Allen actually played really well too, 237 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. And also James Cook looked really well too. They were able to get the run game going. He had 13 carries for 85 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. And something I also wanted to note here was Josh Allen's top receiver was Mac Hollins. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was drafted by the Eagles. Mac Hollins, 3 receptions, 73 yards and a touchdown. Get Josh Allen some help,
Yeah,
please.
Was he on the Eagles, like one of the Super Bowl teams, or was he on the Super Bowl team that they won with Foles?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he was
Okay,
still
yeah.
on that team with Foles. I think he was drafted the year that Carson Wentz was drafted. Yep. So please get Josh Allen some help.
Yeah, close game, kind of a classic Bills Chiefs game as we sort of all expected, high scoring back and forth. And yeah, I thought both teams played well. I thought both teams had a chance to win. Josh Allen is pretty good this game. Patrick Mahomes obviously was doing his thing, throwing the ball, running the ball. But really, there's just a few plays that really turned this game around. Obviously, in the first half, Mahomes had that fumble, kind of gave the Bills life, and they were able to convert. touchdown on that. I think Josh Allen converted a 3rd and 15 to continue the drive. They end up scoring there, but the Bills really couldn't stop the Chiefs all night. I think the Chiefs scored on their next 2 possessions after that in the first half. And Josh Allen, right before the half, was able to find Mac Hollins, like you said, Nick, for that long touchdown. That was a really nice ball, really nice catch there. But one thing of note, which I thought was pretty interesting, was Sean McDermott's decisions to go for 2 and kick extra points. They decide to go for 2 and chase points early in the first half. That bites them in the ass. They lose 1 point there. And then in the second half, after that crazy James Cook touchdown on 4th and goal, he extends the ball out to take the lead again. They go up 1. Obviously, at that point, they have to go for 2. They don't get it, so that's 2 points really missing from the board. It could be 24-21 at that point. When the Chiefs go down and answer, they end up going for 2 themselves, and they get it. So that's a really 3-point swing right there. If the Bills just kick extra points, it's 24-21, and the Chiefs don't go for 2, they just kick the extra point to make it 28-24. And then, as we see at the final score, the Bills end up losing by 3. So that was pretty interesting to me. Obviously, you guys touched on the 4th down. Josh Allen completely got across the line. I don't think there's any question about it. I don't know how the ref on the short side came into that spot. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But I don't understand why the Bills don't use the tush push. You have Josh Allen. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. Just put 2 linemen and a running back behind him and do what the Eagles do. It's going to work 95% of the time. Instead, they kind of just have Josh Allen kind of sneak over to his left. Either way, I think they should have got it. But all that aside, the Bills get the ball with about 3.5 minutes left with a chance to go down in Arrowhead and win the game. And they're not able to do it. Spagnuolo was down up the blitzes. Like Nick said, I think on 3rd and 10, on the possession where they end up stalling out on the last drive, Allen checked to like a screen to Cooper, and if you guys go back and watch the play, it was open. The receiver, I think it was McDuffie out there. The receiver was able to block him, and then they had a guard pulling out to block the safety, and he basically completely whiffed his block. The safety didn't even see him coming. He could have pancaked him, and Cooper could probably still be running. So that was a miss play by the Bills. They only got about 4 or 5 yards instead of about 15 or 20. And then obviously the 4th and 5, Chiefs bring pressure. I think it was 64 from the Bills. He didn't even touch anyone. Josh Allen has 3 Chiefs players draped in his face. After about 2 seconds, the ball snaps. He hucks one up in the air, and Kincaid drops the ball. Bills heartbreak once again. 0-4 versus the Chiefs against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And the Chiefs go to the Super Bowl once again. I think we expected it. It's just, it hurts. No NFL fan wants to see this bullshit continue over and over again. But Patrick Mahomes, they just find a way to win. Credit to Mahomes and the Chiefs and Andy Reid.
Yeah. Yeah, only I think only Chiefs fans are the only ones here that are happy about this, and I can't really think of a whole lot. I guess maybe Taylor Swift fans. But everybody else, man, we're sick and fucking tired of this shit, man. But yeah, it is what it is. Credit to the Chiefs, man. They still gotta win these games, and that's what they're doing. So it'll be the Chiefs in the Super Bowl from the AFC side. But let's head over here to the other conference championship, the NFC. The Eagles versus the Commanders. And holy shit, man, they destroyed them. 55-23. Eagles come out with this W here. I just thought the Eagles looked amazing. I have written down here, Saquon Barkley is just an absolute X-factor game changer here in this game, man. 15 carries, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I don't know, Nick, I'm sure he got stuff done through the air as well, with checkdowns and whatnot, but that's just what I can see here. But man, he is insane. 3 touchdowns, just absolutely balling out for these Philadelphia Eagles, and Shipley got in there. He even got a piece of it later on at the end of the game, man. But yeah, these Eagles, they looked insane, man. This is one of the best offensive performances I've seen from the Eagles all year, personally. Hurts even looked good. He stepped up here, 20 for 28, 246 in a tutty, looking better than what he was saying or what he has been, and that's what I was saying, man. Need to see a little bit more from Hurts, and we certainly saw that here in this game, I think. So credit there where it's due, man. This is also just kind of an inevitable run to this Washington Commanders run here, the inevitable end to their run that I, kind of saw here. They were. I mentioned it last week. They were kind of playing with house money, exceeding expectations already, and yeah, all credit to the Washington Commanders for even being in this position so far. At this point in the playoffs here. So, but yeah, I just think they kind of met their match here with a firing on all cylinders Philadelphia Eagles roster. And then, I mean, also we talked about it last week with some of the other games, man. The turnover differential here in this game really stood out to me, 4-0 here. You're never gonna win games like that. Obviously, it's not close. The Eagles won by 32 points here, but even if they are able to make that a closer game, you're never gonna win that in playoff football with 4 turnovers. So we just keep saying that, and it reigns true here in this game. But yeah, I was driving for the majority of this game back from Troy, so I didn't catch a lot of it. Actually, when I left, watched it was up 3-0. When I got back, Eagles were up like 34 to something, 34 to single digits. So I missed a lot of the important part of the game. So I'll turn this one over to Nick again. You can go first here and give me your thoughts on this. I'm sure you've got a lot to say about this game.
Yeah, I have a lot to say, so please bear with me here. First and foremost, this was the most points scored in a conference championship since the 1970 merger, so that's a big up for the Philadelphia Eagles. I honestly thought that this would have been a closer game than the outcome actually was. And it actually, by halftime, it was actually a pretty close game. I'm pretty sure it was one score here. But the Eagles looked damn near perfect in this game. The talent discrepancy definitely showed here between the Eagles and Commanders. But I gotta give my respect to the Commanders. No one thought they would make it this far. No one thought they would make it to the playoffs. And they're definitely in good hands with Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn, who's a great coach. I think they deserve to be here in the NFC Championship game, especially after winning 2 straight away games against Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Detroit Lions. Yeah, but like Sam, you said, Saquon Barkley is incredible. I mean, I don't know how many times we had to say it on this podcast each week, but we say it each week. I mean, this man is truly special, and he just simply elevates this team's ceiling so high. And going into this game, I mean, with everyone stressing, the Commanders are definitely emphasizing, for their defense to stop Barkley. And on the very first play for the Eagles offense, he just rips a 60-yard run for a touchdown. I mean, you cannot contain him. You cannot stop him. It's just inevitable. Yeah, but the Eagles' offense was definitely clicking on nearly all cylinders. Saquon ended the day 15 carries, 118 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. And like you said, Sam, Jalen Hurts definitely looked a lot better. This is, I think, his best game of the season. This definitely reminded me of like shades of 2022 Hurts, where he was a MVP candidate. He was 20 for 28, 246 passing yards and a touchdown. He also had 10 carries, 16 rushing yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. A couple of touch pushes there. I don't know if you really want to count that or not, but it still counts. It still counts as on the stat sheet. Yeah, and then Hurts also had a beautiful sideline throw on 4th down to A.J. Brown against Marshawn Lattimore for 31 yards, which was a big play that ended up in points there. And our pass catchers, they finally got to eat in the playoffs. I mean, Brown, Devonta Smith, and Goddard combined for 17 catches on 20 targets and 226 yards and 1 touchdown. Yeah, and one more shout out to the offense. Shout out to Kellen Moore on the play calling in this game too. In my opinion, I've watched every single Eagles game, and this is the best game I have seen him call this year. So shout out to him. I mean, he had halfback flips to Saquon, touch passes to Smitty, and jet sweeps to Goddard. I mean, where has this been all year? Literally, I feel like we have been like using 20% of our playbook, because I have never seen the Eagles run these kind of plays before. So this had to have been like hiding, or have we been like waiting to use this? I'm not sure, but like shout out to him for like calling those plays. I mean, that's what we needed, honestly, is like to get Jalen Hurts those easy check down passes, or like get him rolling out to the side and like gain 5, 6, 7 yards. There's pass catchers, some complimentary football like that, so you can rely on Saquon and be more than one dimensional on offense. So yeah, good on Kellen Moore. Hopefully that he can bring that again in the Super Bowl. Defensively, the Eagles had a very weird start to this game. I mean, Washington went on a very long first drive that took more than 7 minutes off of the clock. And they converted like multiple third and fourth downs and eventually letting the Commanders settle for 3 points. And also, I just wanted to say, why would you settle for 3 points when you've been converting on third and fourth multiple times on the drive? I mean, I feel like if you were to, I mean, I think they were probably like at around the 25-yard line on the Eagles. It was about probably 4th and 3, 4th and 2 there. Why not go for it again? I mean, you already converted. Why kick the field goal? So I think if they scored a touchdown there instead, maybe the outcome would have been a little bit closer. I think the Eagles still would have won. Yeah, but 4 total turnovers for the Eagles this game, 3 forced fumbles, which turned into points for the Eagles, and 1 interception by Quinyon Mitchell that sealed the game. The Eagles are now plus 10 turnover differential in the playoffs. They don't have a single turnover on offense. So I think they emphasize protecting the ball on offense, and they've definitely created turnovers there. And the plus 10 turnover differential is the most in the playoffs by any team so far. And watching the Eagles defense, it just seems so hard for opponents to gain yards. It feels like they have to like fight for every yard and on every play. So shout out to Fangio for having a great scheme and putting all his players in a position to make a play on the ball. Zach Bond continues to be a playmaker on defense. Nolan Smith has been lights out in the playoffs. He now has 4.5 sacks in the playoffs this year, which is most in Eagles team history. And all in all, the Eagles defense, they came to play once again, and they're the best defense in the NFL for a reason. They're coached well, they have all talent across the board, and they make plays on the ball consistently.
Yeah, you hit it pretty well. I was going to lead with the 10 turnovers. I mean, that's just huge. 10 turnover differential, by far leading the NFL in the playoffs this season. I wonder how it stacks up against all-time teams because, I mean, that's basically averaging over a positive 3 a game. Super impressed by the Eagles, not only in this game, but their entire playoff run. Their offense is, I think they're clicking at the right time. Obviously, their defense has been playing at a high level. And when you have Saquon Barkley and the way he's playing, it just completely changes how defense have to play you, and it opens up so many more things on offense. So many different things that you can do. Kind of opens up the pass game more for Jalen Hurts, and we saw him. He balled out this game. He played really well. 246 passing yards. Obviously, he was getting it done on the ground. Yeah, I've just been really impressed with the Eagles so far. And again, Saquon Barkley, we've been talking about him all podcasts, all weeks. But he's having one of the best running back seasons of all time. I think he's only, I don't know, 20, 30-ish yards short of like the most rushing yards in regular season and playoffs in like NFL history. I think only Terrell Davis is leading him. So he'll get that during the Super Bowl, hopefully, as long as no bullshit happens. But yeah, the Eagles just been really impressive. Not much to add about the game. They pretty much dominated the entire game. They're in control. So it'll be super exciting Super Bowl rematch matchup with them and the Chiefs.
Yeah, just really impressed with this Eagles team in this matchup here against the Commanders. So excited to see that. But yeah, let's go over to the Super Bowl and actually talk about this matchup here that we have in front of us in New Orleans. Yeah, man, Chiefs versus Eagles. We've got the rematch from, what was it, 2 years ago? 3 years ago, whenever the last time they met was, when the Chiefs came out on top there at the last minute of this game here. This is interesting. This is an interesting one here. Two of definitely the best teams, or at least record-wise, through the season. Chiefs being the 1 seed and Eagles being the 2 seed here. So I mean, it shows, they did what their won games that they were supposed to win and got to where they needed to be in the Super Bowl. As for who I think is going to win this game, here's what I'll say personally, and then I'll let you guys kind of move forward with what your thoughts are on the game and what you guys think. But here's what I'm thinking. My rational brain thinks it says that the Chiefs are going to win this game, just because what we've seen this season, the momentum, just like the general feel around the Chiefs and what we've seen from them. I think that they are going to win this game. I mean, you've obviously got the refs conspiracy. We've seen it time and time again, so that's not off the table. I'm not saying that will happen, but that's not off the table by any means. And also, I mean, if this is a close game, the Chiefs have proven that they can win close games. They've done it like multiple digit times this year in this season alone. So if it is a close game, like the Chiefs they have that cred, that street cred that they've done it before this season, for example. So yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking related to the Chiefs, but there is just something. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is, and it's hard to explain, but there's just something that is telling me to pick the Eagles for this game. I can't explain it with words. Maybe it's just pure hope because we all are sick of the Chiefs at this point. I don't know. But there's just something in my head here. And usually I'm pretty rational with these picks. When picking all these games this season, man, I've been rational on what I think is going to happen. For this game, man, I'm going to be a little bit delusional here with this pick. And that's not to say that Eagles beating the Chiefs is a delusional take. They're two Super Bowl caliber teams, so any team could win this. But I'm just saying because I'm going against my rational thought here with this, and I'm gonna pick the Chiefs here. I think the Eagles should win. I do genuinely think they are objectively the better team, and from what we've seen from them. So I think that they are the objective better team. I think the Chiefs. I've got into it, for what I think with the Chiefs, but I do think that the Eagles are the objectively better team here, and I think finally we're gonna see the objectively better team win this one. I just have a feeling with this, so I'm personally gonna pick the Philadelphia Eagles. I know there's not a lot of reason with that I was able to give, so I might just be spewing completely on this, but that's just my thoughts on this game, man. If I'm a betting man here and I'm throwing $100 on somebody to win, for some reason, man, this time I would put it on the Eagles. But I'm curious your thoughts. Nick, you can go first.
Yeah, so I'm just going straight off of Hopium. I don't really have much stats for this game. Before I go into this game a little bit, in our playoff bracket that we did with Noah before the season started, I actually had the Chiefs and Eagles going to the Super Bowl, but instead, if I had the Chiefs beating the Ravens and Eagles beating the Lions. I just felt like it was a destined rematch, and I honestly was hoping it wasn't because I'm dreading this rematch. It's never easy playing against Patrick Mahomes, especially on the biggest stage in the NFL. Both teams have something more to fight for this year. The Chiefs are fighting to become the first team to ever three-peat in NFL. And the Eagles are also fighting for revenge after losing to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57. Yeah, on paper, like you said, Sam, the Eagles have the better team as a whole, in my opinion. But honestly, that doesn't really matter when you're going up against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes because anything can happen going against probably one of the best quarterbacks to play the game and one of the best head coaches of all time. Yeah, so in order the Eagles need to win, they need to play exactly the way they did against the Commanders. Complementary football, limit Chiefs possessions on offense, win the turnover battle, rely on Saquon Barkley still and mix in the pass plays on offense. Try to contain Mahomes as much as possible defensively. You cannot stop him. I mean, everyone knows that by now, but you can only hope to contain him. And it's easier said than done, but yeah, those are some of the things that they need to do in order to win. And also, this is the very important thing that they must do is they cannot make this a one-score game. If it is a one-score game, the Chiefs will win. Patrick Mahomes will find a way to lead the Chiefs to a victory. Some notes I wanted to say, like comparing the 2024 Eagles and the 22 Eagles, the defense is much better, very much better, especially under Vic Fangio. The Eagles also did not have Saquon Barkley in 2022. I mean, the top rusher was Jalen Hurts in that game. Our starting running back was Miles Sanders, who I think had like 20 rushing yards. So I'm pretty certain that Saquon Barkley will not just have 20 rushing yards in the Super Bowl game here. Yeah, but with that all being said, I have to pick the Eagles. I picked the Eagles in every game so far in the playoffs, so why not pick them one more time? You know what I mean? They're my favorite team. I'm going off hopium. I mean, anything can happen in this game going against the best team in the NFL. But I feel like it's the Eagles stop the three-peat here. The Eagles get their revenge, and the Eagles come up top with the Lombardi Trophy.
I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. We just seen it time and time again, and until it doesn't happen, and I'll maybe change my mind. But it's just insane. I mean, the Chiefs. As much as we hate on them and we want to give them shit for the refs, they just find ways to win, especially in close games. I don't see why this game won't be close. Patrick Mahomes is best quarterback in football. I could definitely see him. He ran against the Bills for, I would say, like, I don't know, around 50 yards. I don't know off the top of my head. I could see him doing it again against the Eagles, kind of just whatever it takes type of mentality. I could see him trying to extend plays with his legs in this game. And yeah, they just have weapons. Xavier Worthy's been really impressive. We forget like the Chiefs. They still have Hollywood Brown and Hopkins and like Kelsey and like they have guys on offense to move the ball, and then their defense is the best part of their team. That's going to be a really interesting matchup. The Eagles O line against the Chiefs defensive front. We'll see what Steve Spagnuolo cooks up. Spagnuolo versus Fangio will be a good little defensive coordinator battle within the game. But yeah, I just think the Chiefs. We've seen before. They're kind of built for this. And I think another kind of small point, but it could come big once the game is Bucker versus Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott's been horrible this year. From 50 plus, Bucker's probably the best kicker in the league. I think that could be a huge factor in this game. And yeah, I'm just going to pick the Chiefs. I've seen it over again. The script says the Chiefs. I feel like everything's going towards the Chiefs. I hope the Eagles win. Don't get me wrong, but until it happens, until someone knocks them off, I'm gonna go pick the Chiefs because that's just what history's led me to pick. So we'll see.
Yeah, both valid picks. I think either way, but yeah, man, I think I like the points that you guys touched on was yeah, like if this is a close game, man, the Chiefs have just showed that they can win close games. So like it is a key win condition for these or for the Eagles to keep it higher, keep their lead higher than just a field goal or something, you know. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. That's a hard thing to do in the Super Bowl when with two Super Bowl caliber teams duking it out here in this, especially with two really high caliber defenses, like you were saying on to not have a close game on your hands. But I don't know, man. We'll see. It'll at least be interesting. It's another thing I crazy Nick wanted to touch on that you said, Nick, was it's crazy that this Kansas City Chiefs team is pushing for a three-peat here. I don't know how the hell Tom Brady and the Patriots didn't get a 3-point at one point in that timeline, man. That does really speak volumes to this Chiefs dynasty that we're seeing here unfold in front of our eyes, and weirdly so close after the Tom Brady dynasty. Normally, I feel like you see something like that not repeat itself for years to come. But here we are with this Kansas City Chiefs team looking to cement themselves in history. And I don't know, man. You might be right, Owen. They might do it. Me and Nick might be right. The Eagles might put an end to it here, fittingly so, in a revenge form. But I don't know. I'm excited at least to watch that next weekend. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to touch on here for the Super Bowl in the playoffs. Like I was saying, there's not a whole lot to discuss here. We've only got one more game remaining. It's crazy. We're at the end of the year. Next week we've just got Pro Bowl on Sunday or whatever. Are they doing like the flag football again?
I think
Yeah,
so.
I think so.
I think that's fun. I think that's fun to watch. I don't know. Because I mean, the regular Pro Bowl's like such bullshit when they did that. Nobody cared, and like rightfully so. They're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
and their next season. So, yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot that we can really talk about the Pro Bowl. It's just they're fucking around. So, I don't know. We'll talk about, but we'll be looking forward to this matchup on February. What's the exact date? Is it the 7th?
The 9th, I believe.
The 9th. Yeah, there it is right there. So on the 9th there. What's that?
Did you have, before we ended, did you guys have any MVP predictions for this season? For
Ooh.
regular season MVP?
Oh, regular season MVP. I would give it to Lamar. I think Lamar played the best during the regular. If we're just talking regular season, I think Lamar played the best. His touchdown to turnover ratio was like 40-4. And yeah, I mean, he led the Ravens to a really good regular season. Unfortunate that they got bounced early in the playoffs, but I think it'll be a toss-up between him and Josh Allen, but I think I'll give the slight edge to Lamar.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get a slight edge to Lamar too. I don't know like the odds right now, but
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure the last thing I saw was Lamar was favored at the end of the season.
Okay.
Though. So I'm gonna say Lamar too. I'm curious, like if anybody's ever favored going into it and don't win it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know
I
how
know
that
what you
works
mean.
at all.
Yeah,
But
I'm not sure either.
yeah, I don't know. Also, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like biased to the teams that make the playoffs or make runs of the playoffs, but I feel like I don't know, they should factor playoffs in some form or another. That'd be hard to do, but it's just a little weird because
Yeah.
I mean Lamar has been not non-existent in the playoffs, but I mean obviously we talked about his struggles in the playoffs on here, so it's like he's got to have 3 MVPs, and not a whole lot to show for it in terms of team success. So I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
sucks just with the format of it, but it is what it is. It's a most valuable player, not most valuable team award. That's what the Super Bowl is for, so I get it. But yeah, man, that's pretty much everything here. We may have a shorter week off. I don't know if we'll discuss if we need to come back for an episode in between now and the Super Bowl next week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm very excited for that. That's pretty much all we got. I'll just jump into the conclusion here. Excited for the Super Bowl. It's at least fun, watching people get excited for the sport. As a fan of football in general. And then yeah, we've got, like I said, I recorded the Call of Duty section already, so should have this edited up and everything. Very excited for Major 1 of the Call of Duty League tournament in person this weekend. Very excited for that. Like I said earlier before we started this NFL segment, we'll keep an eye out for any college football relevant news or related to college football, and we'll touch on that if necessary. I'm sure we'll have news coming out in the coming months here with commitments and transfers and all that good stuff. But and also Michigan Hammer potentially coming down. This is a little bit of a tangent, but a lot of stuff in the Michigan cheating scandal has came out yesterday. So we may be getting some more news in the coming weeks on that. I'm praying to the hater gods that we do.
Get the trophy.
But I'm sure, yeah, we'll touch on it if something substantial comes out and related to that or college football in general. Other than that, follow the podcast on Spotify. Like I said earlier, if you prefer to listen on there, follow that podcast. You can click the link in the description or search Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast. Leave a rating too if you actually are listening on podcasts and prefer to do it that way. Leave a rating. It really appreciates or helps the podcast, and I appreciate it. So if you are listening in that way, and then of course all other socials will be linked in the description below. Anything else, you guys?
No, thanks for having us on. Thank you guys for watching. And yeah, we'll probably go over the Super Bowl after it happens. So ready for that.
Yeah, thanks for having us on again. I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I'm also nervous, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep.
Go
All right. Well, yeah, I will definitely see you guys next week, and we'll be looking forward to the Super Bowl. Peace out, everybody.
Bury me now, I only get bigger, that's word of my nigga. Yeah, October firm in the cut. Stay at the top like I'm stuck, it's time giving it up. She wanna get married tonight, but I can't take a nigga, I'm wearing all white.